Hello everybody, quick video here comparing my M8 Competition, which I've owned for about 6 months, to my BMW M850i, which I owned for 1.5 years. So these are two very similar cars, and I thought it'd be worth it to make a video comparing both of these, because I think some people might even be cross-shopping these, even though the M8 is more expensive. Or some people who own an M850i might be wondering, should I maybe make the leap and get an M8 Competition? Both are beautiful cars. I love the 8 Series, and I've owned mine both in the Grand Coupe form. Just for convenience, I do need the rear seats, but I've always loved the appearance of the 8 Series. I still maintain that it's BMW's most beautiful car right now. If you compare the looks of both cars, they basically are identical with a few small changes, but one of the most noteworthy changes for the M8 Competition is, of course, the quad exhaust tips, which is a look that I always prefer. Now, anybody who watches my videos might be wondering why there's something missing in this garage. And of course, you're probably thinking about the flagship supercar of this house, which is missing. And that's because, sadly, up here in the Chicago area, we have something called winter, where it's freezing cold. They dump a bunch of salt on the roads, and winter actually started early this year. So my car had to go into storage in my parents' garage. We're going to start by comparing interior and build quality. So this is the interior of my M8 Competition. And I've already made a video about the M850i a couple of months ago. So, the interiors are very similar. I have kind of a white cream color, and it's held up very well. But, the interiors of both cars are excellent. I've never had any significant issues. So my overall experience, I'm going to say, has been fine with both. I mean, there are some differences. I mean, this is a true M car, so it has this type of lever, whereas the M850i had sort of a crystal kind of lever, so that's different. And this has various modes that only M cars have, like the M mode. You can permanently keep the valve open for the exhaust, which I really like. You can permanently turn off the auto start stop, thank God. And of course, you have the M1 and the M2 modes, which I already have set up for my more aggressive driving. So being that these are basically almost the same car as far as platforms, you would expect almost identical build quality, and I would largely say that's the case, with some small exceptions. Anybody who's watched my videos already is aware of the screen crack issue, which I do plan to ultimately replace. I just have not gotten around to it. I would view that as more of a damage thing. I'm not really sure I'd call it a build quality issue. The other one has to do with this door. And so you probably will not hear it, but when you shut or open this door, and right now it's not making that sound, you get a small creaking sound. Now, it's not an issue with the door itself. The door is fine. It's not an issue with the door hinge. Everything is nice and quiet. So all that's good, but there's some creaking that, and I think it's coming somewhere from the trim. It's not like a big deal or anything, and it only happens when you swing this door open. So, I just haven't gotten around to getting it fixed, because I'm not even sure it's worth the effort. One thing I can say is that my M850i never had that problem, and my prior BMW never had that problem. So only the M8 has this. Now, is this just some sort of fluke? I do know that, this being a true M car, there has been effort made to, for weight savings. And does that have anything to do with why that trim creaks? And it's only that door, by the way. I can't say. If I'm going to compare both cars in build quality, I'm going to give just the slight edge to the M850i, just because it had no issues whatsoever. One place where both cars would get an equal score is just the interior experience. The infotainment has, in both of my cars, and in fact all of my BMWs, has always worked pretty much flawlessly. And there are no rattles. You know, driving around, it's very quiet. You know, no interior rattles, no squeaks, no buzzes. The doors are nice and quiet, unlike the Porsche I used to own. So, you know, I have no complaints there. Next topic will be ride quality. So I'm just taking my M8 Competition for a spin on this, you know, nice late fall day. And, you know, the M850i as well as the M8 Competition are both very sporty cars, and so they're kind of stiff. So if you want the ultimate in, you know, soft luxury, you know, you're not going to want to get either of these models. You're definitely better off with something else. But if you know, if you don't mind a little bit of a sportier driving experience and your back can handle it, then you know, these cars would be something I would consider. Having said that, the M8 Competition is definitely a stiffer ride than the M850i. Next up, we're going to talk about performance and sound. I figured I would just kind of lump those categories together. And that, you know, this category probably deserves, like, you know, double the value of all the others, because that's kind of the whole reason you buy an M8, especially an M8 Competition, maybe an M850i too. But so in the performance department, hands down, I mean, it's pretty obvious, and I've made a video about this before. You know, the question is, how much superior is the performance of the M8 Competition versus the M850i? I'm gonna tell you straight up, the M8 Competition completely blows the M850i away. It's not even close. It handles better. It's got gobs more power. I mean, I'm just gonna kind of hammer it right here. I mean, this kind of acceleration, and I'm not even flooring it. I mean, I'm only at, like, I think I was only at like maybe 60% throttle, and I mean, I just completely took off. The M850i has this, you know, does have a lot of power and speed, but not this much. Has the same amount of torque as the M850i, but it just has more top-end power. So it likes to be revved out almost like a naturally aspirated engine, which is kind of cool. You still get a little bit of turbo lag, but you know, it just keeps building power, and I really love that about it. The M850i, you know, it's not in the same league, for sure. And I mean, that's kind of a given, because after all, it's full-blown M car. But you know, I haven't even tested this car's full capabilities, and I probably never will. So this is one of the roads I like to do a little hooliganry in, and as you can see, I'm not even pushing the car that hard. And you know, on a video you'll never get a sense really of how fast we're really going, but trust me, I'm hauling ass here. And I mean, this thing has no problem on little curves like this at the speed I'm going. I mean, it's like it's not even an effort at all. And the M850i was pretty good too, but it just, you know, just doesn't really, it just never really would be able to perform quite at this level. As far as sound, you know, I'm not going to do a sound demonstration today. It's a little cold outside, and I'm not in a good place to do that. But if you search my channel, you'll see I've made videos of this car's sound as well as the M850i. And I would say, you know, this car has a very unusual sound. I mean, it doesn't quite sound like a traditional V8 engine the way the M850i did. You know, the M850i has that typical sort of Mopar, you know, V8 engine muscle car type of sound, whereas there's something different. It's a little bit higher pitched. I mean, you could almost call the sound of this car kind of exotic. You know, all in all, I actually have grown to like the sound of this car more than my M850i, which I didn't expect. Having said that, sound and performance being lumped into one category, I'm giving this category to the M8 Competition. My last category here is reliability. I owned my M850i for about a year and a half. I've only owned this car for 6 months. And what I can say about that is the M850i gave me no problems whatsoever. I never had to take it in for anything other than regular service. I haven't owned the M8 Competition for too long, but I can basically say the same thing about this car with one exception. There was a recall on the coolant expansion tank, which many people who own this platform know about. I did get that taken in to get that replaced. But otherwise, beyond that, I have had no issues with this car. Fingers crossed. Hope it stays that way. Now, having said that, looking, just doing my research about these platforms, the N63 engine has historically, which is in the M850i, that car has historically had issues, although BMW has really fixed a lot of those with some of the newer generations. Whereas the S63, again, from my research, has largely been, for a high performance car, relatively bulletproof. So this is a very close one, but I'm just going to give the edge to the M8 Competition just because it hasn't had that history that the that the N63 engine has had. So there you have it. There's my little amateur review. Both both the M850i and the M8 Competition win 2 categories each. So who's the ultimate winner? Well, remember, I'm giving a little bit of extra weight to the performance category, and because of that, if you value performance and you have a little bit of extra money, you got to get the M8 Competition. I mean, it's just, you're always going to wonder, what you're missing if you drive the M850i. I mean, that's how I felt when I owned that car. Now, if that doesn't matter so much to you and you wouldn't give as much weight to the performance, and you still want a high-performing, fast car, then the M850i is excellent. I mean, I had a great ownership experience, and it does have better ride quality, which, that does matter for a lot of people. So, ultimately, it's your decision what you end up doing. I'm pretty happy with my decision. I think the M8 Competition is just epic, and I'm having a great time with this car. I wish actually I could do more fun back road driving, but I'm trying not to get in too much trouble here. So but anyway, those are my thoughts. I appreciate you watching. Take care.